podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
It's Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics opening ceremony day for the nations that are attending anyway. I'm John.
And I'm Michael. This is the latest Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. We are back talking about the Olympics and the Paralympics all the time, not just once every 4 years.
It's the biggest ever Winter Games, but between 7 and 11 countries are boycotting the big celebration of parasport on the official opening night.
Curling is making headlines again. I love this. 2 stones stolen from the Cortina Curling Centre.
In tomorrow's news today, TNT, the mixed doubles, struggling slightly. We focus on the mixed team in action on day one for Paralympics GB.
I want a medal, a gold medal preferably.
And we round up the rest of the news from the Games, including too much sun for skiing in Cortina.
It's all happening. This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy. Download, listen and follow. Pass it on to your friends and fellow Olympic and Paralympic fans at that. So as we told you earlier this week, these Winter Paralympics are set to break records. A record number of athletes, a record number of nations. But there's also a boycott of the traditional curtain raiser, the opening ceremony. Anything between 7 and 11 nations, depending on who you believe, won't be competing and taking part, according to various reports. Sky News, Reuters, the IPC themselves. So the IPC themselves say that Ukraine, Czechia, Estonia, Finland, Poland, Lithuania and Latvia will not be taking part in the opening ceremony because of Russia and Belarus. The Netherlands have been mentioned, but that's not been confirmed by the IPC. And it is all down to Russia and Belarus, as I say. The potential for the national anthem to be played when one of the athletes could win gold, representing Russia for the very first time with the national flag being hoisted since 2014. And all this as it comes as other nations like Paralympics GB, as you heard about earlier this week, are not attending due to competition the next day. Great Britain, Canada, Germany, France, all of those nations will not be at the opening ceremony. So, Michael, it's Verona. It's obviously a great setting, a historical arena. It'll look good on the telly. We saw it at the closing ceremony of the Olympics, but it does seem like a slight own goal from maybe the organisers. You can argue that the Paralympics didn't know what was going to happen with what's going on with the USA, the Middle East, but they knew that Russia would be in from December. Do you think this is the right place for an opening ceremony when, frankly, everybody else is either in Cortina or Milan?
Yeah, you're right. It does seem like a bit of an own goal. And it's the athletes I feel sorry for more than anything, because I think if one thing that being so involved in the opening ceremony in Paris in 2024 taught us, and certainly with the Olympic Games, the main criticism was the athlete didn't get that moment. And I know not all athletes get that moment because swimmers traditionally are competing very early on in the program. They don't tend to go to the opening ceremony. It's always been a selection of athletes. But on the whole, for athletes and support staff, they will have that moment where they walk into an arena, into a stadium, behind their flag bearers, behind their flag, behind their country, they will get announced. That is a huge deal, I imagine. I mean, I've never obviously experienced it. I've spoken to lots of people, as have you, that has experienced it, and not just athletes, but, you know, members of the delegation that get to experience it as well. And that's a huge moment. They didn't get that at the Olympic Games in Paris, but you know what? For the Paralympic Games in Paris, I think they totally nailed it. It was brilliant. I thought the opening ceremony for the Paralympics, where they got to walk down the Champs-Élysées, essentially, they did have that big moment where they then came to a central area where at the Olympics, it felt like they had their boat ride and then they were kind of spirited off. But I return to the point that we raised when we spoke about this, and we heard from Phil Smith, chef de mission of Paralympics GB the other day. It's not really about us. It should be about the athletes, but it's not really about the athletes. It's about the TV audiences. And, you know, I mean, NBC are trumpeting that they're showing their biggest ever Winter Paralympics coverage ever. 8 hours, not a day, in total, 8 hours. But that is as good as it's got. I mean, we are very lucky, very spoiled. And I still don't think it's perfect from our television broadcaster, Channel 4. It's not perfect, but we are lucky in this country that we get as much as we do. And the opening ceremony is about a TV show. And, I think it would have been lovely, and maybe with the benefit of hindsight, that little parade that they had in Cortina for the Winter Olympics, where the athletes walked through the streets and the town, and people were there, sort of London Marathon style, if you like, behind the barriers. It was lovely. It was brilliant. And we spoke to so many athletes, didn't we, that thought that was absolutely fantastic. Maybe that should have been the solution. I just feel, like I said, sorry for the athletes above all. I think the TV viewers will get a decent show, but
because we talked about the flame in the last episode, that's going to be lit in Cortina, and it's also going to be lit in Milan. So it's not even being lit in Verona. So everyone's in Verona. What are they doing in Verona? I just don't get it. If nobody else is going, I've listed the nations that aren't there. I know that 50 odd more will be there, and they will be waving their flags. It just feels like it's just not the great start that everybody wants. And that's the whole point of the opening ceremony. Here's the start. Let's get going.
What they're doing in Verona is they're bringing a bit of the Paralympic pie and the Olympic pie to another region in northern Italy, and they're utilising a venue which was set up for the closing ceremony of the Olympics, where I think it kind of did work for the closing ceremony because everyone had finished competition and had time to get there from whichever satellite centre they were at. So what you have in Verona is a stadium where all the barriers, all the security, everything is set up. All the camera positions are in, all the commentary positions are in for the broadcasters. So you can then just move the Paralympic opening ceremony into there. And I think for budgetary reasons, and as I say, I think the little boost that Verona's economy will get for a couple of days as well, that is the only reason I can see why it's there.
The organisers have got a few challenges, Michael, at the moment, haven't they?
Yeah, another one. Big challenge. The weather. I mean, we had too much snow at the Olympic Games, as we know, in Livigno. And now we've got too much sun in Cortina on day zero. And I'm going to mention this like I used to mention Gold Coast and the Commonwealth Games to you on pretty much every episode of the podcast we did. But I've been to Cortina.
Have you?
And it is a stunning, stunning place. And when the sun shines and when the blue skies are there, it just looks absolutely fantastic. Great to visit. Not so good, though, if you were hoping to take part in the third and final downhill training, which had to be cancelled. The decision was made to preserve the course conditions because Saturday is day one of the Paralympics. It's race day, and they want to ensure athlete safety. So that means Britain's Menna Fitzpatrick will be one of those flag bearers, as we understand it, already pre-recorded her contribution. Her guide, Katie Guess, will be going in the first of their 5 events in the women's visually impaired downhill. They finished 7th in that second, and now what's turned out to be the final training session, 22 seconds off the leaders. Neil Simpson and his brother Andrew improved to 4th fastest in their training run. Fred Warburton and James Hanna finished 10th again.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how that develops in the next few days. As you say, let's hope that there is enough snow and ice to continue the downhill safely. Now, it's been quite the build-up for the Italian organisers as well. The revelation that 2 red Olympic mixed doubles stones have been stolen after the Games from the Cortina Curling Centre. The 2 42-pound granite rocks, I mean, it's not the kind of thing you put in your backpack, were removed from the arena, but no one knows how. After the Olympic Games, authorities are currently investigating the thefts. They cannot trace them. We've put our own missing poster out to try and see if you spotted them across Europe, or if you know where they are. Milano Cortina organisers say the replacement stones have already been sourced. There's no impact on the competition, but they are trying to trace those missing red stones. So please let the organisers know if you've seen them.
I wonder if someone at Ailsa Craig, the island between Scotland and Northern Ireland where the stones come from, whether someone's chiseling a couple of spares out as we speak. I went past that island on a ferry last October when I got the ferry from Stranraer to Larne. I pointed out to pretty much the entire ferry, and no one seemed as interested in it as I was, to be honest. It's a bit like disappointing.
It's a bit like you. Have you been to the Gold Coast? Have you been to Cortina?
I sent a picture of it to Eve Muirhead. Not even she responded, to be fair. Anyway, fun and games with the missing curling stones. Not so much fun and games for Paralympics GB and their mixed doubles pair of Joe Butterfield and Jason Keane, who, of course, are the first athletes in action. Now, Jason's from Newcastle. Joe is originally from Yorkshire, but now obviously is based in Scotland and has been for a while. Joe, as we've spoken about, aiming to become the first Paralympics GB athlete to win a gold medal at both a summer and a winter games. We've brought that story to you before. 2 matches, 2 defeats in their first couple of contests. A bit nip and tuck against the Estonians, as we mentioned in the last episode. In their second match on Thursday morning, they really did come up against it. World number ones, former world champions Korea. They actually lost their opening match, but they really recovered well, cruising to a 14-3 victory. At one end, they scored 5 points against the British pair. Joe Butterfield said afterwards, "It's not the way we wanted to start our campaign. 2 losses is not what we came here to do." The good news is that Paralympics GB are now off and running because in round robin session 3, they took on Latvia. They had a terrific second and a terrific fourth end. They took 3 in the second end. They took 2 in the fourth end. They backed it up with another one in the fifth end. The Latvians did come back to Paralympics GB. They took one in the end 6 and then end 7 and also end 8. They had a chance to take it level as well in end 8, but they couldn't take that chance. So Great Britain won their third match 6-5. So, as we said during the Olympics, it's not necessarily how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah, great to get on the board. And actually, the other results tonight, China had to go to an extra end against Italy, and China won that. So they won 8-7. So they've won 3 out of 3. So they're top of the table now. And that defeat for Italy means that they drop behind Great Britain. So Great Britain are 5th, joint 5th at the moment with Italy and Japan. You need to finish top 4 if you're going to get to the semi-finals. Estonia lost for the first time tonight, beaten by the USA, who Great Britain play tomorrow. And you mentioned the Koreans, the world number 1. They had a great victory against Great Britain earlier on day -1. They won 9-0 against Japan this evening as well. So the Koreans are on the march, having lost that opening match, as you rightly say.
In other news from the Games, a new tradition that started in Paris and now seems likely to continue is the new IPC and UNESCO mural, which athletes and teams can sign, calling on governments of the world to increase investment and drive policy change for people with disabilities. Yes, Paralympics is all about the sport. That is why we cover it on Anything But Footy. But I also think it is right, as the IPC and the UN have obviously thought is important too, to highlight the inequalities in society too. And I think the Paralympics does do that with cities. It does shine a focus on host cities about sometimes difficulties, some of the challenges that people with disabilities, people living with disabilities face. IPC President Andrew Parsons, the Milano Cortina 2026 President Giovanni Malago, and the UNESCO Director of Social Policies, Gustavo Marino, unveiled the mural in Cortina earlier. IPC President told a media conference, "We're a sports organisation. These games are about sport." We totally and utterly understand that sentiment, but it's not only sport. These games are also about inclusion, because 1.3 billion people with disabilities are on the planet today.
Incredible. And that mural is certainly worth keeping an eye out if you get to see the coverage over the next few days. This is Milano Daily. We will return to curling and the Paralympics mixed team in TNT, tomorrow's news today. And there's other news from the Games as well coming up, as we cover the Olympics and the Paralympics all the time, not once every 4 years.
This is your fix.
I'm your host, Stassi Schroeder. Welcome to Tell Me Lies, the official podcast. What's the most unhinged thing of season 3?
Steven, because he's so evil.
I do think he is misunderstood.
You see everyone face consequences.
It's intoxicating. The writers just know how to trick you. There's always a twist in this show. Tell Me Lies, the official podcast, January 6th, and stream the new season of Tell Me Lies, January 13th on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
This is Anything But Footy and Milano Daily, and tomorrow's news today, we're going to talk about the mixed team curling, because day 1 gets underway with the mixed team curling, which is the competition we've usually seen during the Paralympics. We know the mixed doubles, as we were talking about earlier, making its debut. Now, China won the curling in Beijing 4 years ago, and actually that was them defending the title they'd won in 2018. Can they make it 3 in a row? They're doing very well in the mixed doubles already. As I said, they're the world champions and they're the number 1 in the world in the mixed team curling. So don't bet against it. Certainly worth keeping an eye on them. Canada, led by Inna Forrest, the country's most decorated Paralympian with 2 golds and 2 bronze, a world ranked number 2. But they haven't been top of the podium since they did back-to-back golds themselves in 2010 in Vancouver and 2014 in Sochi.
Interestingly, the British team, Paralympics GB, we'll say it again, not Team GB at the Paralympic Games. Paralympics GB is a combination actually of curlers from England and from Scotland. So we do have English curlers, which obviously at an Olympic Games, we haven't seen English curlers before, but it's representatives that have represented Scotland previously, represented England previously. They've come together to form this Paralympics GB group now. So you've got Graham Stewart, Karen Aspey and Stuart Pimlett. They're all making their Paralympic Games debuts. So if they're on the ice, they'll also make history, as I said, there as the first ever English athletes to compete in the wheelchair curling mixed team. Karen's from Wigan. Stuart is from Northumberland. You've got vice skip Austin McKenzie making his Paralympic debut as well. We're going to hear from them all in a moment. After the skip at his 3rd Paralympic Games, this is Hugh Niblo.
Paralympics GB show up and you get a nice top and everything that starts to really become real, and you start realising that although we're part of British curling, it's now we're part of Paralympics GB again, and it's that excitement and that determination just goes up a notch, and getting that Union Jack and that Paralympics GB on my kit in March it's going to be special again.
My name's Stuart Pimblett, wheelchair curler for Great Britain. I'm honoured, if I'm honest, to be selected for the Paralympics. I feel like it's a long time in waiting. Broke my back in 1978 in a road traffic accident when I was 9 years old. I think it's made me who I am today. I wanted a new challenge, and I found the sport of wheelchair curling and fell in love with it. And then I decided, once I started, I thought, how can I curl internationally? There wasn't an England team. And then I was one of the founder members that set up the English squad.
Hi, I'm Karen Aspey. I've always had that dream, to be honest. I've done other sports in the past, and I've always had that dream at the back of my mind. Never thought I would at this stage in life, but I've got there. I want a medal, a gold medal preferably. Initially, when I wasn't getting any sort of funding, they did fundraisers. I got a grant from Be Well Wigan. Just everybody's been amazing.
I'm Austin McKenzie. In the Worlds earlier this year, we beat world number 1. We beat the 2 teams that were in the final. So we have to go with a bit of confidence, thinking, well, we can actually beat anybody out there. It's one of these things that you always strive for in terms of if you are competitive and you do play sports, you always want to kind of be the best and kind of win the best. And the Paralympics is as high as you can go. So yes, it's something you want to win.
Hi, my name is Graham Stewart. I was asked if I wanted to come along to try it, came along to try it, enjoyed it, and then was asked if I would go to an assessment day, went to the assessment day, got chosen for the Paralympic pathway, and I've just really put everything into the curling over the last 2 years. I'm extremely proud to be representing GB. In the past, I've represented Scotland on numerous occasions, but this is the first time that I've represented GB. So it's just another step up to just a different level. Really, really pleased and really humbled to be selected.
My mate owns a pub in Stranraer, the Shoreline, and I'm sure he'll have it on the screens there, and I'm sure he'll be pretty much supporting me and things like that and drawing people in. And no doubt back at the Northwest Castle, I'll have it on the TV there and back in my home rink, and I'll get incredible support from them as well.
So Hugh Niblo starting and finishing that, the Paralympics GB mixed team for wheelchair curling. And it's been 20 years since Paralympics GB won a silver in Turin, a bronze 4 years later in Sochi, and last time in Beijing they were 8th. So we'll see how we get on in the mixed team, but I mentioned some of the other teams to look out for, China and Canada earlier. So Great Britain, Slovakia, day 1, 8:35 in the morning at the Cortina. Have you been to Cortina? At the Cortina curling
I'm going to take you there to see the mural.
Oh, Excellent. I'm looking forward to it already.
My second trip, of course. I've been there before.
You might have mentioned it. Great Britain against Slovakia, 8:35 Saturday morning, day one UK time. Also, they have a double header because they're in action Saturday evening as well. 5:35, the big match against the USA for Hugh Niblo and his team.
And the mixed team event will begin, as we said, on the Saturday, day one of the games on the 7th of March. So we'll keep you across that later on this week.
In other news, away from the Games, British Cycling have revealed that chair Frank Slevin, who's been at the organisation since January 2018, will step down from his role following a recent diagnosis of bowel cancer. The move will enable him to prioritise his health and family whilst focusing on treatment and recover. British Cycling say he's been an exceptional chair, and the organisation has seen a period of significant transformation, stability and renewed ambition under his tenure, as well as John Dutton, the CEO, who's also departing, but for other reasons. We wish Frank Slevin all the best in his battle against bowel cancer.
Staying with cycling, international cyclocross is coming back to Great Britain. We're getting a round of the 2026-2027 UCI Cyclocross World Cup. It's going to be hosted at Kelvingrove Park in Glasgow in Scotland on Sunday, the 13th of December.
Wow.
Now, that event will be delivered by British Cycling Ventures in partnership with Glasgow Life and Events Scotland. Tickets are going to be on sale via Ticketmaster, and they go on sale on Monday, the 9th of March at 10 a.m.
And the Lloyd's National Road Championships will return to Ceredigion in Wales in 2026 as well, taking place from the 25th to the 28th of June. Now, this is a landmark deal, we're told, between British Cycling and the Welsh Government, and it means it will host the next 3 championships in Wales from 2025 through to 2027. The time trial, circuit and road race championships will return to the region across 3 exciting days of racing.
Now, qualification for the 2027 World Athletics Championships is the ultimate aim for the British relay squads as they head out to the World Athletics Relays in Botswana, taking place at the start of May. Now, the team has been announced by UK Athletics. Paris 2024 Olympic medalists Arnell Hughes, Jeremiah Azu, and Nathaniel Mitchell-Blake have been confirmed in the men's 4x100 metres squad. Great to see Imani Lansiko back from injury as well, taking up a place in that. Also, Desiree Henry, another medalist, of course, double Olympic medalist now, won a medal in Paris, won a medal in Rio before that, confirmed in the women's sprint relay, while Olympians Charlie Dobson and the Nielsen sisters, Lena and Lavia, also in the 4x400 metre squads.
But head of sprints and relays, Darren Campbell for UK Athletics, says he also wants to give up-and-coming athletes a vital development opportunity on the world stage. So we're going to have some new names. The newly crowned British indoor 200-metre champion, Renee Regis. You may recognise the name, John Regis' daughter, as well as the 2025 Under-23 European Relay Champions. Success Adwan, what a great name, Kusui Wensa, Alison Bell and Nia Webberburn-Goodison. They'll all feature in the women's squad as well.
If you want to hear more about relays and British athletics, it's worth just going back into the archive and listening to our interview that we did last year with Paula Dunn, performance director at British Athletics, who talks really interestingly about the plan around relays on an episode of Great British Bosses. So make sure, if you are interested ahead of that World Athletics Relay Championship in Botswana, to check that one out. Staying with athletics, next weekend, March the 15th, is the Bath Half Marathon. So why are we bringing that one up? That sounds like the sort of event a very specialist track and field or athletics podcast should be discussing.
Exactly.
Well, we mention it because it's the official British Athletics trial race for 2026. So World Athletics Road Running Championships Half Marathon, which will take place in Copenhagen in September. It means that the likes of Phil Sessamon, Jess Warner-Judd and Alex Bell, who swapped the track for a slightly longer distance, are among the leading names confirmed. Bath Half Marathon, be all across it.
Remember Jack Draper? Well, hopefully he's back fit for this year's rest of the tennis season. The world number 14 is the latest star to sign up with ASICS, and he'll be wearing the new Solution Speed tennis shoe this spring and summer.
I just want to make a point here that I've been requested to make on the podcast. Eldest daughter Amelie says that she has liked every one of our Instagram stories since she was able to join Instagram, and we've never mentioned her. And she also makes the point that Matthew's been on the podcast. So the Anything But Footy heirs have got a bit of beef with each other. So she wanted a mention for liking all of our Instagram stories.
Thank you. We do that. We do appreciate that.
And other child.
What's she offering? What's she bringing to the table?
Yeah, I know she needs to bring a big brand in, doesn't she? Or a big sponsor. Then she might get some mentions. And other daughter, Eloise, wanted to tell me that her classmate, a boy in her class called Tyler, listens to the podcast every day. So hello to Tyler.
Excellent stuff. Now, thank you for all of your support, not just Michael's family, but everybody during the Olympics. Listening was up 500% last month. We hope it will continue for the Paralympics this year, because we'll be covering every day, as Michael said, Milano, Cortina with Milano Daily. You can get all the latest news on our socials. You can like them if you wish as well, like Amelie and Eloise. Great to hear from you as well via the website, get in touch, or via Spotify. Any questions you want to fire away, we'd be delighted to answer them, like what are they doing in Verona? This is Milano Daily from Anything But Footy.